You're listening to the most fraudulent F1 podcast with Dan, aka Engine Mode 11.
I secretly moonlight as Helmut Marko at race weekends.
And Blake, aka Break.
Echo chambers of farts and idiots on Twitter after races.
It's the Engine Breaking F1 podcast.
Boom. Hello. It is us, the Engine Breaking Podcast. We have made it to episode 42. That translates to the Brazil Grand Prix of 2023. Ooh, wasn't it exciting? I actually didn't mind it, to be honest.
I didn't hate it either, but 42 episodes. We've done it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Engine Breaking Podcast, your source for unfiltered fraudulence and maybe a little bit of wheel knowledge. Possibly. I think so. Honestly, I know we always give it the bunch of frauds, but I feel like between the both of us, I think we got it handled, and we'll have some interesting conversations about the world of Formula One, insight into what's happening, your favorite trackside toilet reviews. We don't have any updates for toilet reviews for this episode, but hey, why not?
No. If it's anything like everything else that happened at Brazil, they probably got blown away, so...
I remember 1 year after the race when they opened the security. So after the Grand Prix open, not taking the piss, but the Sao Paulo circuit is in not a particularly affluent area.
Affluent, that's the word.
Yeah. There's a little bit of stuff happening around there. And 1 year after the race, there were people coming in and just taking the new porcelain commodes out of the place. Like, yep, that's my new toilet. We're out of here with that one.
That's the souvenir you want.
Yeah,
a toilet
exactly.
From an F1 track.
Exactly. Lewis Hamilton full hover squatted over this one. Anyway, let's what do we got today? We've got a little bit of news. We're going to go through the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're just off the back of a triple header. How you feeling?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm done. I'm welcoming the week off.
Honestly, I'm a little bit cooked after a double header. Triple header was a bit much, but hey, we keep moving. We'll go through the Brazilian Grand Prix. We got a little bit of general motorsport news. I think that's a good format we got. Like, we're not super active in other motorsports in terms of analysis and commentary, but we do like to observe it from a distance. We can keep talking about it. But yeah, let's get into it. What do we got on motorsport news?
Ooh, motorsport news. This one is hot off the press.
Oh yeah, it's a bunch of vankers.
Haas have basically decided to start suing everyone, and to begin this process, they are now asking the FIA to review the results of the United States Grand Prix.
Gene, I can fix this.
Yeah, all the track limits infringements that were there and not correctly penalised, and I don't know, it's a real mess. So far, I believe it's Red Bull, Aston, and Williams have been summoned, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I think there's a hearing or a little chinwag about it tomorrow. You see what it did there, a little chinwag? I feel like Tomo. We're not stealing your chinwag, Tomo. Don't worry. But yeah, I get Gene's point. At the same time, it's like you said you're going to police this, and we've got video footage because you can see everybody's on boards. It's like, for example, there was pictures of Perez like completely over the apex of turn 6. I don't see what they have to win out of it. So, I mean, if Aston, if there's a couple points to be had in their championship, that is big money for a team like Haas that's been surpassed by everyone because they can qualify well but can't race for shit. So, I see it.
Yeah, points make prizes, or however they say. So they're fighting. They're fighting hard for everyone they can get.
Stupid games for stupid people. Is that a quote too?
that's applicable as well. Yes.
No, nobody's stupid, but no, I get it completely. But because Aston are so good at Austin, oof. But we've got some. I mean, that's the typical fraud watch for the FIA and Haas and everybody else involved in that. But we've got some motorsport history made this weekend in the WEC 8 Hours of Bahrain.
We do indeed, yeah. So the Iron Dames made endurance racing history at the 8 Hours of Bahrain.
That's me clapping.
Yep. The squad of Michelle Gatting, Sarah Bovey, and Rahel Frey took their first WEC win in the final ever LMGT AM category. So good for them. And it wasn't a gifted win either, right? This was on merit. This wasn't like someone said it wasn't a Fugazi victory either. So.
But like, no, put it in perspective. Like, the first all-women squad win in a WEC race. That is pretty badass. And did they not finish second overall in the championship in LMGT-EM?
Yeah, I believe they did. Yeah.
LMGT.
No, I believe they did.
That's freaking awesome. Also, big dubs to Sebastian Buemi and the crew on the Toyota, taking the overall and the dub in the WEC. Let's go, Seb.
I saw that.
I'm gonna see if we can get Seb. I'm gonna see if Seb will come on the podcast. We'll just have to maybe get a couple beers, Heineken Zeros, or just change the labels out.
We can fraudulently get him on here.
I reckon Seb would do it. But dude, that's super cool. And to your point, your question in the notes here, are we going to talk about WEC a little bit more next year? I think we should.
Yeah, the tickets for the LM24 now general sale as well. Just saying.
If anybody's listening here and they would like to host Dan and I, and we can fill your hospitality suite with fraudulence and maybe give you some little bit of inside motorsport knowledge, we'll definitely eat your catering budget up.
Yeah.
We know a thing or two.
Yeah. Listen, we know a thing about catering, guys. Get us in.
I saw a couple doing the rounds. It was I saw Ryan and Buzzy and a couple of other people talking about favorite catering outlets around racing circuits. So I think I think there's a little bit of content to be done there. I think so.
Yeah, I reckon we could probably do that.
But back on the serious point, to put some proper respect on it, that is super, super fucking cool seeing an all-women's crew getting a huge dub like that in WEC. Just being, it's like there's so many young girls and young women seeing that. They're like, hey, I didn't know this now, but I would like to be a race car driver, a race car engineer, whatever. I want to be in motorsport because they see people and they're like, right, if they can do it, I can do it too. So I'm looking forward to that. And not for discussion for now, but for another time, to see what happens with Formula One Academy and all of the things that come before, more importantly, I believe, and then after F1 Academy. So, what about, we've talked about Haas, we've talked about WEC. Let's talk about IndyCar and Formula One at the same time ish.
Yeah, let's talk about IndyCar. Let's specifically talk about everyone's favorite Frenchman,
Roman Big Jeans.
Yeah, Roman Big Jeans. So he's joining, I'm going to butcher this, Junkus Hollinger? There we go. I've just lost all of our American audience for the 2024 IndyCar season. But, right, this is fresh off the back of trying to sue Andretti, right?
Yeah.
Because didn't he launch a legal action against Andretti for getting dropped?
Yeah, some, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, he's replaced it. But my impression was that Callum Ilott was very well regarded as well. And it's like, how is this dude out of his seat for Papa Gross jeans?
Yes. Now I looked into this. Now apparently, it may have something to do with the fact there was a bit of a inter-team.
Oh, the wheel banging, brother.
Yeah. A bit of inter-team.
Isn't this in all of Matey Boy's social media? He basically was getting death threats for a little bit of wheel banging.
Basically, yeah, that is how I understood it. So I think it was a case of keeping the peace, you're out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh.
So yeah, no, sucks for Callum. But Grosjean's going to be a busy boy, right? Because he's also signed up for Lamborghini as a factory driver for them new IMSA hybrid GTP.
Ooh.
So he's going to be. I'm sure he can, but he's going to be busy balancing that about.
Here's me complaining again on Twitter about 24 races and triple headers, and Grosjean's just happy to be racing anything he can get his hands on.
Mate, we can't even manage a single episode a week on a podcast and full-time jobs. What hope have we got for?
I don't have a full-time job.
All right. I'll remind you of that next time. I'll say, oh yeah, your little part-time job.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little part-time destruction of my entire existence and soul. Yeah, no big deal. No big deal as well. Let's get into Brazil, man. It's time for the 2023 Brazilian Grand Prix. Can I first start off this? And I made a couple of waves. They weren't big waves. They were splashes. But Crofty using all the corner names around the circuit. I'm like, basically, I know Senna S's around that circuit. I don't know any of the other corner names, and I feel like I do understand that he's trying to put a bit of respect on a fantastic, magnificent historical circuit. But I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about with half the corner names. I'm like, I know turn 4, I know the S's, I know turn 10, I know turn 11, I know turn 6, 7, but like, and also I feel like his pronunciation was probably okay, but the locals were not having it. But like, I don't know that. There's a couple circuits. We've got Silverstone. Yeah. We've got Monza. We've got Spa. Maybe Imola. What are the places to use corner names at?
This is the thing. Like, it changes. It changes circuit to circuit. And no, let's have a little hot take.
Go on.
I don't think corners are allowed to have names unless that circuit has earned its spot on racing royalty.
Mate, are you talking about Las Vegas track map? We got Treasure Island. We've got Top Golf. Motherfucker.
No. Shove that corporate crap up your backside. You've not earned it, Vegas. You can't just buy your way into the big leagues.
Yeah, honestly, for the most part, yeah, that's actually not a bad take. If the track has earned it, you can use the names Zandvoort, Suzuka, fine. But like some of the Tilkedrums, none of those, like, don't even start giving me corner names at Circuit of the Americas. I'm not fucking using them. No way. No way. Miami, Car Park 1, Car Park 2, and Car Park 3.
Listen, all hail the top golf curve. Right?
Top Golf.
Hail
comes
corporate.
Hamilton.
Hail corporate.
Oh my god. Honestly, yeah. Anyway, let's
Track
get
numbers. That's all I care about, mate. I don't care about names.
And I feel like I'm a little bit biased because that's an engineering thing. Like, it makes it very clear. It's like, right, turn 1, turn 8. Everybody's got the same circuit sticker. Fine. That was a huge segue. I said I wasn't going to do that tonight. Oh my god. I just got so much passion about really pedantic stuff. That's all.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, mate.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do this weekend for Brazil is, since it was a sprint weekend, and I know that you guys love sprint weekends and you just want to like absorb all that sprint weekend goodness, we're just gonna like tear straight through it and focus on the juicy bits, because be honest with you, sprint weekends can do one. I don't even think we need to go into this again, but they completely add no value whatsoever, unless maybe you're at the track and a fan. But for the most part, if you're a fan at the track, you just want to see zoom go round, whether or not it's a session or practice. You're just like, ooh, cars, yay.
Yeah. Let's
be honest, you won't have data. You can't hear the announcers. You don't know what order anybody's in. They might as well just be doing high fuel runs.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Although the actual sprint, I said this last week, right? The actual sprint race would probably be quite good at Brazil. And it wasn't actually bad.
And it was a very decent sprint race. But I will contest, a good sprint race at a specific circuit that always produces great racing does not make sprint races in general good.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think we're on the same page. But I did enjoy it. But I'm just like, triple header sprint races, 24, 23 races. I'm tired. Like, I know a lot of people just turn it on and watch the race and see the results and like, yay, and maybe they'll come hang out on this terrible podcast once a week, but it's a lot of work, man. And it's just like, at what point is it less enjoyable? You know, it's like, you don't have filet mignon every night, do you?
No.
You don't?
No, that's a good point. Too much of a good thing, you know.
Yeah, I feel like we've tipped the balance with the volume. But sprint weekend, practice. Here's something. Free practice 1 on sprint weekends are always interesting because you have no idea what's going on. Did you watch free practice 1 or did you miss it?
No, I did actually watch it. Yeah.
You're looking at like, why are Red Bull running 3 hards? What are McLaren doing? They aborted their fast lap and they're like, oh, we're being cheeky. And it's like, nah, here you go. Here's the telemetry on Twitter. Jokers.
Yeah.
No, but all those things were very calculated and deliberate, and it's very interesting to look at what people are doing with their tire run plans to say, why would they be doing that? There's a couple interesting stories. Keeping in mind for sprint weekends, you have 6 set of soft tires. You've got free practice 1, You've got qualifying, which you might use, 2, 3 soft tires, maybe 4. You've got the sprint shootout where you're going to use at least 1. You've got the sprint race in the Grand Prix. Like, it really depends. So Red Bull, using the hard the entire session, they didn't even go as far as to look at the hard tire the rest of the weekend. They hid them in a cupboard somewhere and said, no, you're a trash tire.
Yeah. It was very interesting, I did think. I think I got about like 3/4 of the way through the session, and I was like, oh, I think only 2 teams have used anything other than a hard. And then all of a sudden, sort of in the last 15 minutes, loads of people did.
Yep.
But like you say, Red Bull were like, no, we are quite happy just to piss around doing our long runs on the hard.
On a single set of, they did the entire program on a single set of hard tires.
Straight out of the F1 Manager.
But that was all, yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. But it's like, at the same time, we'll get into it in a little bit, but a lot of teams had a couple of woes. Some great victories and some great losses were had this weekend. As you know, we don't know. Here's a quote from Mercedes: like, if we had more practice sessions, we don't know what we would have done with them. We don't know where we'd have gone. Whereas Red Bull are running on a completely irrelevant tire, a used tire for an entire session. It's like, that's our free practice. The car is now setup is fixed. We can change tire pressures and front wing angle.
Yeah, even
Fucking hell.
I know it's like a weird sort of concept, but with Red Bull doing that in that FP1 session, that sort of made me think, oh my god, this is going to be an absolute slaughter.
Yeah,
because they don't need to mess around with qualifying setups. They don't need to worry about that. They're just working out on their race setups. See you 30 seconds down the road, everyone.
Yeah.
They're not messing around with fast times or low fuel in free practice 1. Good luck to you.
Yeah,
that's a sign of strength.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I know that's obvious given this year's car, but
yeah, but it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, but Brazil off the back of that though, Brazil last year caught Red Bull out. They were nowhere. They were really shocking.
Exactly.
So it's like they really have this car dialed in. They've understood their mistakes from last year, or they just, Red Bull aren't the type of team to just roll the dice. I don't think. I know not. And then you had McLaren. Like,
I mean, they rolled the dice employing me and you. That was the last time they gambled.
Fair enough. They're like, oh god, we've been burned.
We're never doing this again.
But McLaren dead last in free practice 1, and they did an outlap, and then the first 2 sectors on a soft, and then parked it in. But on that outlap or that lap, they would have been 3/10 up on Sainz, who Aston Martin in free practice 1 looked pretty anonymous, and we had no idea what was up with Mercedes or Ferrari, and we had no idea what kind of pain they were in for. I think Lando and Hulk had a little bit of wheel-to-wheel in free practice 1, but meh.
Yeah, they did. It was a bit weird. Going back to Aston quickly, though, I did look into this because we will talk about Aston later.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. However, they were running... they were doing comparisons between the 2 cars because for FP1 they had different setups, different aero configurations.
Ooh, do you know what they aligned on?
Parts.
Because I do not know.
They both, after FP1, settled on a hybrid mixture of old parts and new parts.
So we're talking like pre-Austin bits?
Had the old side pod fence and the old floor, what we used to call the... Christ, what's wrong with me tonight?
Barge board.
Thank you. The new version of them, whatever we're calling them, side fences or something, I don't know.
Nobody's calling them side fences.
Lingo. And
you're not a cunning linguist.
No, I'm just I'm just
I know.
That's all I am.
Just
mate.
a dusty old. Anyway, so and that's it. This is the nature of this sprint week. We can jump straight into qualifying. The start of the Q1 was delayed, debris on track. There's some tire cuts discovered by Pirelli. I'm surprised we didn't have any of the Pirelli shenanigans like in Qatar. A little bit of, they've changed the rule on, I don't even want to get into this, like basically managing outlap pace and not going too slow. So now people are going slow in the pit lane, blah, blah, blah. Verstappen just middle finger drives around everybody, 2 wheels in the grass in the pit lane exit. Q1, we lose Zhou, Sargent, Bottas, Ricciardo, and Tsunoda. In Q1, we lose both of the AlphaTauris, which, interesting. Q2, Ferrari and Merc try to save themselves by doing their first run on used softs. Not
it
bad.
failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they bothered.
It's again the sprint weekend. They're like, well, we can't use a new one. Where do we risk the used hard? We'll do it after our first run, after we've got a read.
Well, they did. I left this off the notes, but
Oh.
they did this in Q1 as well. It was nowhere near the cut-off time. It was a complete waste of a run. So then they go into Q2 and they think, hey, you know that idea that didn't work in Q1? Let's do it in Q2.
0 pods, bro. No.
It didn't work.
Track. Weather's incoming. Track's cooling. Albon got his lap time deleted, but it wasn't good enough for Q3 anyway. It was a tough weekend for the Williams. This is this place likes a little bit of downforce on your car, and it is not really a Williams speciality. It's not going to suit them particularly well. We lost Albon at 15th, Magnussen, Gasly, Ocon, and Hulkenberg. So, yeah, the Williams, the Haas's, the Alfa Romeos, ciao, bippity boppity. Q3 though, man, this is one of those things. Do you remember the TV feed? It looks like Bizarro Land. The world is being overtaken by black. There is a mother rager of a storm coming through. The palm trees are literally fully sideways, tilted over.
I was waiting for 3 hobbits to run across the track looking for a ring. I was like, blimey, it's like something out of Lord of the Rings, that sky. It
was sinister though. But like, as I'm going to be really annoying. But as we're here, obviously on our televisions and the comfort of our lazy boy recliner chairs, armchair, its finest, there's people looking at the weather radar, like, yeah, the weather's coming in about 9 minutes. We've got some time. Did they fuck?
Wrong. Yeah. So this is like our vision of one-shot qualifying. We kind of got it thanks to the weather. And it was quite interesting, right? Because basically, if you was out first, you set a decent lap. If you was last, unlucky. Because by the time the last guys got round to the sort of third sector, it was already wet and the rain hit that part of the track first. So what I found really interesting is obviously they all queued up to get out. Fine, no problem. Piastri and Perez, though, looked like they decided, no, we're going to stay in the garage for as long as possible so we don't lose any warmth out the tyres.
So we get the worst track conditions?
Yes, they gambled on keeping temperature in the tyre, but unfortunately they gambled incorrectly. And, Piastri decided to reenact Kimi Raikkonen getting lost off the circuit.
He did a bit of grass cutting, didn't he?
Yeah. And Perez just, didn't do too well. So, yeah.
So basically, anybody that set a time at the end of that session was in the bottom. So Norris, Sainz, Perez, and Piastri. Nada. Max Verstappen takes pole position by about 3/10 over Chuck. Bad luck, Chuck. So that sets now as we're going through this weekend chronologically, that sets our order for Sunday. Now let's go to SideShow. SideShow. You ready for SideShow?
Yeah, what's our SideShow?
Shit qualifying. I mean sprint qualifying.
Oh, I thought I was going to say the SideShow of all the stands getting ripped apart.
Oh my
Q3.
God!
Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully it was just like tarp, but there was debris as well. Like red flag into the session, nobody gets another lap time, and it's just chaos. Looks like they got it all fixed up, and it was, I guess, sunny the rest of the weekend. No, it's good.
Yeah, no, I think the weather held out for the rest of it. But yeah, seeing the videos on Twitter of just basically sitting in the stands, and then all of a sudden the roof just disappears. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's like, man, get me out of here. I think everybody was safe, but De Vries was there. Let's go straight through sprint qualifying because honestly, I couldn't give two rats about sprint qualifying. But also, here's an interesting thing: the fastest lap times in qualifying on Friday were set in Q2. So I really don't think that the actual order was that representative of like the pecking order and the pace, because
no, the order of qualifying on the Friday was whoever got out of the pit lane first.
Well, let's put it back in context. We haven't seen Aston Martin in a while, and we've got Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso sitting third and fourth. And my initial reaction was to say, you know what? They played the cards right. They operated the cars properly. They got out early and set a lap time. But I don't think that was the case. Sprint qualifying.
It happened. Next.
No, dude. Yeah, it did happen. Ocon in his in the press pen was like, "Yeah, I was up, I was on for a good lap, and then Alonso turns into me." And then you see the video from the stands at the exited two. Ocon's like full dab of Oppo, streaks sliding into the side of Alonso. Like, to be fair, Alonso could have maybe given him a little bit more room, but he's like, if your lap isn't fucked, like, you shouldn't be on this part of the track. That dude is. That has he ever put his hand up when he's fucked up?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know, but it's like, oh, people are saying I lost control. I didn't lose control. Were we looking at the same replay? Because I'm pretty sure you lost control there, big man.
No. Well,
I hear you, Alonso. Maybe his track positioning wasn't fantastic. Let's not make this out like Alonso just came out of nowhere and drove into the side of you, Ocon. Like, come on, mate.
Oh, he never owns it. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, red flag, delayed repairs to fix the tire barriers. We lost Sargent, Albon, both Williams out. We lost Zhou, Stroll, and Ocon, obviously. Alonso basically lost his front left corner, the wheel and the whole corner all mangled. He did drag it around to the pits, but the floor was dragging on the ground, basically catching on fire because it was getting so hot. And yeah, he didn't get back out for sprint qualifying too. SQ2, Perez looking decent. Verstappen goes rocket ship on some used rubber, and we've dropped Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Gasly, Bottas, and then obviously Alonso. Sprint shootout 3. It turns into a one-shot, basically, because the session time is so short. Verstappen, middle finger, drives around everybody on the pit lane exit again, and people are like, that's illegal! And then we watch back to, was it Seb in China in 2012? That was a banger on the in-lap pit entry.
Oh, was it? I think it's even longer ago than that, when it 2012. I don't know, but yes, that I know the one you mean. Yeah,
full sending on the inside. It's like, I know you guys are making gap because you're stacking in the pit lane, but I'm just gonna send it up the inside.
Yeah. I've got no time for this.
Yeah, but like 5 head,
big brain thinking
in it, lots of capacity. Norris sprint pole, Piastri P10. Now, I want to put this in context. Verstappen and Perez were very close all weekend. Perez was very much on it. And people have been like, even last weekend when Perez got out-qualified by Ricciardo in Mexico, he was just a tenth and a half off of Verstappen. I'm like, I don't hate it. I really don't hate it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah. Checo looked thereabouts. Our sprint qualifying grid was Lando, Verstappen, Perez, Russell, Hamilton. God.
The
foreshadowing. Big sigh. Foreshadowing.
The best part of this was Norris crossing the line, basically saying, "Oh, I hated that lap," and then they turned around and said, "Well, you got pole. Well done." And he was like, "Okay, I hate it, but
yeah, but like that's really interesting considering Norris knew it was a shit lap, and I can't remember which bits of it was, but I was looking through on my old telemetry analysis report. I'm like, that was pretty scrappy, but he got her done. He did get her done. You noticed my heavy sigh earlier when I was talking about Mercedes in 4th and 5th. Tsunoda, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Sainz, Piastri. Go on, Daniel. Go on, Yuki.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn. So I think that takes us to our sprint race. But before we get, that takes us through sprint shootout. But before we get to the old sprint race, we need to have a little word from some of our friends real quick.
Yeah, we got some bills to pay. So you know what time that is. Yes, it's that time again for a word from our sponsors, NordVPN. You know them by now. It's a product that me and Blake have used long before this podcast was even a thing. And we are very thankful for their ongoing support to the podcast and for you listeners. If you're tired of being geo-blocked on Netflix and things like that, then you need yourself NordVPN, and you can get yourself an exclusive discount off your plan and 4 months for free. All you got to do is go to nordvpn.com/engine. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you doing? Come on, they've been with us for nearly a year now. If you haven't got it by now, what are you waiting for? So that's nordvpn.com/engine. Thank you.
Nord friends.
What a beautiful sounding bloke that was.
Yeah, he sounds really handsome.
He does, yeah. There is a slight difference in the tone of voice between that advert and now. And I've equated that to when I recorded that, I had less weight on my chin.
The resonance.
The beard growth.
Yeah, okay. A little bit of damping on the chin weight.
Yeah, I got natural sound dampening with the tash and the beard.
If you're just tuning back in, you've missed everything. The podcast is it's not over. We're getting straight into the sprint race. How would you sum up the sprint race without saying what happened? How would you summarize it?
I'd say it is one of the better sprint races we've had this year.
Yeah, I would say it was the unexpected sprint race that, as usually does, gives us a glimpse into Sunday and completely fucking spoils it.
Yeah, it's like they've put all the best parts of the film in the trailer.
Or the worst parts, depending on who is your antagonist and protagonist.
And it's like, well, what's the point of watching the race now? I know what's going to happen.
I think it was well worth watching the race as well. But
because you're on F1's payroll.
No, I'm not. Honestly, like between me, I'm not on F1's payroll, and I don't think I'm particularly popular to them. So, like, sprint race, basically in a nutshell, Verstappen takes the lead on Norris. Norris is not able to get into striking distance of it. Both of the Mercedes drop like rocks, man. They go backwards. Russell, I think, hangs out in fourth. Hamilton drops all the way back to P7 and almost gets done by Sainz, except Sainz is being harassed by, I think it's Ricciardo, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is Ricciardo. So it's like, honestly, Perez did pretty good once he came through. Perez more or less on pace with the front runners, but Ferrari looked like they were kind of in that middle land. And yeah, and we didn't really get to see, I mean, obviously you've probably watched the race and you saw that Aston Martin were freaking rapid on Sunday, but they were kind of bogged down in the gaggle of cars back there outside of the sprint race points. So yeah, Max wins, Lando, Perez, Russell, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Hamilton, and Sainz take the points away from the sprint. Anything else in that sprint race that you're like, I like that. I will have some of that.
I don't know. I was just going to say it was interesting that Mercedes absolutely burnt out their tyres within the first couple of laps, and they were like, whoops. And like we say, the sector 3 pace of that car was was it like a second a lap on some of them? It was just like,
I mean, fastest laps don't really matter in the sprint race so much because, you know, it was a 25 lap run on mostly used softs that were 2 or 3 laps old. But there's quite a bit of management going on in that, I think, to get to the end. Fastest lap of 114-ish. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Russell 114.4, and then he bled off into the distance. But like Hamilton at the end, they call it hitting a cliff. Hamilton's lap times plummeted. He had nothing left.
They hit a black hole rather than a cliff.
Yeah, but talking about the Mercedes, they did one thing this weekend. They went what looked like a relatively high downforce compared to everybody else. They were somewhere, third, fourth fastest team, it looked like, from qualifying, maybe. But they had a parachute on the back of their car. It gave them good high-speed performance, the right-hander into turn 6. But usually when you put
robbed them of the performance to actually be at a high speed.
Exactly. So they go through that corner quickly, but downforce also, you look at a normal circuit, high downforce versus low downforce on a given car. If you put more downforce on the car, you will go faster through medium and low speed corners as well. But they had a little bit of high speed performance, terrible straight line performance, and they were average as you get through the low speed, changing direction sector 2 into 3. So it's like, right. Not only that, you guys are burning up tires like hell. What has happened after Austin? So this is a little bit of a preview of what was going to come on Sunday, unfortunately.
Yeah, I put out a bit of a sort of a tasty little tweet on after the sprint race saying, right, if you're Mercedes, do you gamble and go for a pit lane start and change the setup after you've seen that performance during the sprint race.
Aston did it the other week. They were like, you know what? It was in Austin. They're like, we're so bad. We're going to change something and learn something.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, they said, no. Why would you do that? They're starting in the top 10. That seems a bit extreme. Well, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why they didn't do that, as revealed by Toto Wolff, is because they didn't even know what to change, he said. He said, we probably would have done it, but we didn't even know what we were going to change. I was like, okay, great. That was, yeah, well done. I don't know. Where do you go from there? But sorry, Mercedes fans, that was a very heavy crash back to the ground after the highs of, when was it they had that rocket ship, 2021, when Lewis stormed up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, if you guys are watching this stream live on YouTube, and if you're listening to this later, don't forget to follow us on YouTube because we do these streams live. That does offer you guys a little bit of an opportunity to heckle us while we're live streaming. And sometimes you'll notice us like jump on a tangent. It's because we're reading messages from you jokers in the chat. But real quick, Synchro Doka as well as Jimmy, thank you guys for the super chats over on YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. But
Give
yeah,
yourselves a little.
Yeah, toot. We appreciate that. You guys are awesome. But seriously, like the YouTube live chat is a heckin' vibe. Get involved. And honestly, nobody's started a fight in the audience yet. That's nice.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, sorry.
They will.
Oh, heck. Let's talk about the race, man. Let's talk about the race because we've foreshadowed it enough and we've hinted at it. But, I mean, in the first 10 minutes of this thing, it was pure chaos.
Jesus, Charles fans, I feel for you. You know, watching that happen, I said on Twitter, we're going to start a new Drive to Survive, but it's us driving to Maranello to save Charles from Ferrari. Because, that formation lap, hydraulic lockup, that's it. Locks the gearbox, loses steering.
Sends it straight into the bazzers.
Yeah.
I was sad about that, man. It's like, I feel bad for him because it's like, he's had a handful of mistakes, not that many. And then you see shit like this happening. You're like, come on, dude. Like this is the kind of guy that is of the caliber. Look at what Lando's doing with the McLaren. Look how Piastri's doing. Piastri doesn't seem like he's got it completely sorted, but he's very handy. It's like, this is what Leclerc should be doing in the right car. He should be up there. It's like, hey, now we've got Leclerc in the mix. We've got maybe Sainz in the mix. I feel bad for Ferrari fans. I feel bad for Ferrari engineers. I feel bad for Ferrari drivers. I wish we could just make it better. I'd be happier.
Yeah. But someone in the chat's also mentioned about Machine Gun Kelly and Martin Brundle on the grid walk.
What do you think of our business?
I'm not giving MGK any airtime because the man came out and famously said he was better than Eminem. So in my eyes, the guy's a bigger fraud than us.
I don't think I'm a fraud. I'm just kidding. But that dude's, I don't even know who he is, honestly.
Exactly.
But I don't know who a lot of people are. So that's because I don't have a life or friends, and I live under a rock.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure MGK is going to be devastated knowing that two middle-aged men in their dissing him on a podcast,
Yeah. You know what? Machine Gun Kelly, get wrecked. You bought.
There you go.
See? Doesn't care. Literally doesn't care.
You fucking blood-drinking weirdo.
Yeah. Anyway. I don't even know what he does, honestly, so let's just not talk about him anymore. But we get to the race start finally after the lap to grid shenaniganry. They pull Leclerc's car back behind that, and they have some National Geographic photography sessions with him in the fucking weeds. Go on, Jamie. Go on, Jamie.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, Jamie did some great photos of Charles, obviously standing next to his car. Bless him. But
the Jamie Price photo, by the way, on all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, top bloke as well. Absolutely top dude.
We should get him on. We did talk about it, didn't we?
Okay, fine. Ago. Yeah. Actually, I tell you, I finally met him in Austin.
Oh, okay.
I met him in a piano bar, and I was like, "This is gonna get rowdy." I was like, "No, dude, I'm having one beer and I'm getting out of here." He's an awesome dude. He has a very
piano
interesting
bar. What circles do you traverse?
Yeah, well,
Piano bar. Jesus Christ. Look, listeners, let it be known that not all of us drink in fine establishments
no,
like that. I used to
piano
drink
bars in
a
Austin
place.
are like literally a piss up.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
a
used
piss
to
up.
drink in a place in Hitchin called the Phoenix. I'm sure 0 people are going to know this, but it was one of those sorts of places where your feet stick to the floor.
Oh, I love that. Is it from
The-
beer or
the-
urine?
Who knows? It could have been a mixture of all of it.
I'm just looking up images of this place. That looks like a proper establishment. Emphasis on stab.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's well old. It's been demolished now, I think. That was a long time ago.
Okay, fair enough.
Good times.
But yeah. So race starts. We've got a Haas sandwich. Like honestly, Haas taking each other out invariably, involuntarily, whatever. Just I don't know. I feel like that's just a thing. It's like a partnership. But it's kind of like Magnussen and Albon and Hulkenberg. Albon gets a little bit pinched. Hulkenberg's trying to get out of it. He spins around into Magnussen, punches a hole into Magnussen's side pod. He goes from a normal pod to an ultra pod, which is twice as good as a zero pod. And even in that state, when all the guts are hanging out of it. Ricciardo, rear wing, gets hit by a loose tire. And Piastri's rear wing gets broken by Magnussen spinning into him.
Yeah, that was
There's a bit going on.
there was quite a bit going on, yeah. And seeing that tyre bouncing up and taking out Danny Rick's wing, I kind of forget how heavy these tyres and carcasses are. And then you sort of see them fly off and then hit something and absolutely destroy it. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. They are seriously not to be messed with.
Yeah, but we also had another one of those things where the alloy wheel lost the outer bit. It completely sheared off again. We've had that in Melbourne. We've had several other instances of that, and it's like, when are they gonna like? I appreciate that you can't just be like, hey, we're gonna go back to 13-inch rims because these aren't safe. But maybe I'm recency biased, but I feel like we never saw wheel rim shears on the 13s like that.
No, and we're also seeing a lot of tyre carcass and sidewall shearing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine that's something that's going to get silently looked at during the off season.
Yeah, so here's actually the solution. Why don't we just go back to the 13s? Because I don't think the 18s are actually dog shit, though, because the tires have enough mass and inertia that you can just sit there and pound around lap after lap up somebody's gearbox. And I like that. And you couldn't do that on the 13s unless that was a compounding thing. So I don't like talking about tires because I feel really out of my depths. But anyway, so let's talk about what happened. We've got several cars and have now DNF'd. We've got 3 cars out of the race: Leclerc, Albon, Magnussen. But we've got 2 cars with damage. They come around into the pit lane and start to take repairs. Then the safety car has come down. Obviously, the safety cars come out. Then it gets red flag after they get in there. So these cars are now a lap down. So they start from the pit lane on the race restart. They're allowed to do the formation lap, but they come in and they have to start from the pit lane, and they're a lap down.
Yeah,
Which sucks.
Yeah. That's kind of it for them, really.
Yeah, and that was their race. The thing that sucked about it was they were on pace to be quick enough and hang around the gaggle of cars, but they were a lap down, and they were not going to overtake everyone. So,
Yeah, sucks for them.
It's just one of those things. Like, I feel like it's a little bit annoying because they knew that was a red flag, but they safety car'd it first. And it's like, well, just red flag it. Like, you've got 2 cars that are completely fucked. Like,
Yeah, I can't speak for the safety car deployment, but somebody was on about, why do they yellow it and then red it? And I read about this, and apparently it's a process thing. Apparently you can't jump straight to a red flag. It has to have a yellow, then a red.
Okay.
Which I didn't know.
Fair enough.
I thought you could jump straight to a red, but apparently it needs to do yellow first. Don't think that applies to the safety car, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting, but I don't think we're going to solve that one. But that was
we could, if they let us.
Yeah, it's like, hey, that was a red flag immediately. Don't worry about the safety car. Just red flag it because you've got 2 cars in bits on the circuit. You're going to have to get people on the track to clean it and remove them. We've seen that a couple times where they have delayed calls, but at the end of the day, It wasn't like it was unsafe. It was just from a sporting point of view. You had two guys lose out quite massively.
Maybe it took so long because unfortunately race control had to deal with the same TV direction we did.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Can we just stop for a minute? Tell me. How bad was that, dude? They made the old Monaco TV crew look good. That's how absolutely I mean, this is how much money are Liberty pumping into this? How much money is this sport worth? And you cannot get somebody with 2 brain cells to direct the feed. Honestly, I genuinely believe you give me 1 week and I will come up with an algorithm for dictating the race feed. Done.
Yeah. You're just going to stream it all through OBS.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Just come over to YouTube.
Scenes.
Yeah. What we need is the ability to use multi-viewer and creators to be able to sync up with everybody else's clients and say, hey, I'm watching Blake's stream. I would like to use my multi-viewer and F1 TV Pro subscription to watch whatever he's watching.
Yeah.
Because
so
I did
to
pretty
answer
good.
your question of how bad it was, this is... I have to admit it, right? I'm such a fucking nerd. When I watch races, I still can't watch races on the TV feed. I have to watch races through the track map, through the timing screen, and all things like that because I'm still ingrained into that Optimum mentality.
Yeah, just watching when you have access to all the toys, man. As soon as you take them away, you're like,
yeah, I can't sit down in front of my telly and just watch a normal race. I could, but I spend the entire time just being irritated that I haven't got a timing screen and a GPS map in front of me and race control and things like that.
You know, I was doing one at Coda, F1 TV app. This is me looking at my phone if you're on audio. Literally, I'm sat here at turn 17, sat next to Molly and Ash, and I'm like, we've all got our phones out watching the timing. It's like, what are the sectors? What are the gaps? And honestly... yeah, if you haven't tuned into a Break F1 watch along, do come by on next weekend. I'll do qualifying and the race for Vegas, and qualifying and the race for Abba Dabba Dabba Dabba.
You've just committed yourself to doing that. Have you? Do you remember what time they're doing it over in the UK though, mate?
Vegas is at 6 a.m. for all the important sessions. I'll be up.
Nah, I'm gonna be in bed, mate.
I'll be up. Yeah, you can watch
the. I got 3 kids, so I'm going to be awake.
Yeah, you're going to be awake, shitter. But let's talk through the race real quick, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. We got all the chaos out of the race. Ricardo and Piastri get screwed, and we don't really get to see what they can do. And just other... nah, we don't even need to get into spoilers. Strategy. Let's talk about race strategy. Remember, we talked about the hard tire, not useful. Last year, what did we had basically a soft, medium, soft, like equal stints, roughly, split throughout. Nobody even...
Ferrari completely lost their mind and even suggested a free-stop strategy before the race. And I was like, bold.
But I think that actually makes a little bit of sense, considering there was so much management. So if you did a flat-out race, was it possible? Because like if you did a flat-out race, via degradation, you would have to stop a further time because you'd burn tires up. And
right, but did anyone even have enough tires left to do a free-stop strategy?
Yeah, most people had enough used softs, and they had quite a few softs with only 3 laps, which teams ran multiple sets of used softs. Some teams didn't, so soft enter, yeah, probably that was the fastest way. I think the soft tire was preferred. The medium tire looked like there's a couple cars not too happy on that tire, and some people just made it work. But let's start about the front of the race. It was Verstappen and Norris the whole way. Like that was pretty much it. There wasn't really anything else to say, was there?
No, they just went off and had their own little race by themselves, really.
It was a little bit, you thought, okay. I mean, Lando put in a stinker of a lap very early on. You're like, holy shit, he's got pace. But then that just showed you how much they were managing. And Lando holds a reasonable gap to Max throughout every stint. The middle stint on the medium, Max does pull away quite a bit. Lando throws in a super fast lap on the final soft, and I do believe he takes fastest lap at the very end, a 1:12.486. Keep that in mind. In the sprint race, we only did a 1:14.
We also saw something extremely rare in this Lando and Max battle. And that was Max actually having to take a defensive line into turn 1. When's the last time Max has ever driven a defensive line against anyone? He's never had to.
No. It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah. I never thought the McLaren would have the outright pace to challenge like the entire race. But they did better than I thought they would.
No, they were clear second in the pecking order. And I think if Max had started or he had been behind him, Max would have got around Norris, I think.
Yeah.
But Max did a pretty solid drive there. Speaking of, though, I think at some point Hamilton mentioned the hard tire. I don't know if he was joking about a one stop, but we'll get back to them in a minute. But I was looking back at the strategy notes. Pretty sure Hamilton did mention the hard tire. But
I mean, Mercedes at that point, I think, were just willing to try anything.
Put the wets on. Maybe they'll put the ride heights in the right window.
Maybe, yeah.
But Verstappen in the post race was like, yeah, I wasn't pushing at all. And you look at the lap times that they were doing. They basically had to fully manage this because the 2-stop race managing was the fastest race. If they were pushing any harder, it would have been a 3-stop. And realistically, if you look at Max and Max could have 3-stopped probably on pace.
Yeah.
But Lando having to basically just kind of drive that and react. So I do believe... Now, they pit on the same lap on the first stop, and Lando extended his stint. And that was an actually interesting strategic thing. Did you catch that? Because I was listening to, I think it was Bernie Collins' tweets. If you're not following Bernie Collins on Twitter, you will actually get some insight. During the races, I just shitpost. But during the races, Bernie, when she's not on Sky, she's usually dropping some knowledge. So it was interesting. At the end of the race, Verstappen pits around lap 54, right? Lando stays out. He does not cover. Because if there was a safety car, Lando wins out. Easy. So he's like, I can stay out for a couple more laps. That will shorten my final stint on the soft. I'm not bleeding pace. And at this point, even if I pit a little bit later, I still got a 4 to 6 second gap to the Alonso Perez train. So it's like, if there was a safety car, because Alonso and Perez were getting super close. And if you're McLaren, you're just like rubbing your little mitts together like, yeah, go on, hit him, mate.
Cause a bit of chaos, please.
Yeah. But yeah, that was an interesting one. It's like, oh, he doesn't need to cover. I wish I was a strategist because, yeah. But what they need to do is they just need to get me and Bernie on Sky and everything will be fine. I can do all the shit posting.
All right, yeah, no, you and Bernie go and have fun. Thanks, mate. Yeah, don't worry. I'll just sit here and, run the podcast all by myself.
I'll be back.
Like I do anyway, to be honest.
It's like, now we're over to Dan. He's like, yeah, fucking hit him, mate. Oh, fucking love it. Last time I was on Sky, I was hanging on tequila. I wasn't hanging that much. It was... because I had Red Bull, tequila, watermelon drinkies. Yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, and you got called out by Hamilton for being an absolute...
I can't believe it. Like, after that, Toto was like, yep, no, that's not right. And then James Allison was like, yeah, that's not right. And I was just like, what is mate on about?
Yeah, you're Lewis Hamilton's least favourite Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. Some Canadian dude. Let's talk about the next group of cars, because I think this next group was the race, realistically, wasn't it? It was Alonso and Perez. Oof. So, unfortunately for Perez, he gets stuck behind these midfield cars called Mercedes, and they just bleed. So, like they were on the struggle bus on that first stint. I've got the chart up here, and it just pushes. Perez finally gets past them, and Sainz ends up stuck behind Stroll through that first stint there. Yeah. But honestly, Perez as a result of that, Perez stops quite early. It looks like his tires are a little bit cooked. And he's got really good pace on his medium stint. Like, not Verstappen rapid, but he closes up to Alonso and then kind of burns away. Alonso goes because Alonso's in no man's land just behind Norris, though, he can kind of do that thing that the race leaders are doing. He can manage his tires. He can go long.
Yeah. So, listeners, there is a very lovely graph in the show notes here that Blake has produced with annotations on it and everything, which is very useful to me because I spent most of my weekend dealing with sick children. So I'm a little bit lost. But Blake, this very informative graph, where can people get that if they want to see something like that?
So if you need your nerdy data fix, go to break.com, which will take you to buymeacoffee.com/break. So for the price of a coffee a month, I do these very detailed, time-consuming reports that are actually destroying my soul because I love doing them. So that's how I understand. Like, just the same way that Dan, you said, I can't watch the race without the timing feed and the track map. At the same time, I cannot understand what happened during a race without going through this data and analyzing it. And I was like, well, I don't want to just keep all this to myself. So why don't I like make it worthwhile? So I put it on a platform. I think we're up to 450 members on the mailing list. So check it out.
And for that segue, I'm going to take 10%. Thank you, Blake.
Yeah, I'm going to slide down. I'll buy you lunch tomorrow.
Thank you, mate.
Is it tomorrow or Thursday?
No, it's Thursday.
Okay, I'll buy you lunch on Thursday for a top secret meeting that nobody knows about. Shit, sorry. I said too much. Speculate in the comments wildly, YouTube crew.
We're going to Maranello to become the new Ferrari strategists.
Yeah, exactly. Go on, mate. Hit him.
Get in there, Charles.
You smash him up. Felipe, baby, stay cool. I'll get you that clear visor. Is that guy from Oasis? No, it's just Rob Smedley.
Oh, Christ.
Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
Where were we? Oh, yeah.
So,
Alonso and Perez, the saviors of this race.
Yeah, but Alonso did really good by like not having to deal with anything. He could manage his pace, go super long on the first soft, and then he kind of got to do what he wanted on that medium. And like the pace was all right. It was clearly not Norris or Verstappen fast, but it was better, equal to Ferrari. Ferrari kind of got screwed like Perez, and it was, Mercedes dropped the ball. I'm not going to keep kicking him down. The Mercedes did not feature in this whatsoever. And then at the end, Perez has a lot of pace on that final soft, and the fact that Perez is able to go lap after lap like that, that was spicy as hell. That being said, their pace was, as a result of them fighting, was nowhere close to the front runners, and that kind of makes sense. But going back to the TV director. The TV director was like, there's no way I'm showing you guys Lance Stroll overtaking both George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. I'm not showing you that. And they didn't. They were like,
just have to picture it in your own mind.
Yeah, so it's just, it's one of the most depressing sights you think you could ever see. That was me closing my eyes and thinking about that. But
enjoy this crowd shot instead.
Yeah, exactly. But to be fair, Lance P3 in qualifying, we thought, meh. Lance did bottle it on the restart and ended up quite a ways back, but his pace was good. His pace was very strong in the final stint. He was better than Sainz on merit, on pace.
It was strong pace all weekend from Aston, and like I say, I looked into this because I was very confused by this, and it turns out that they're running, like we've mentioned it, they're new parts and old parts in the mix.
Yep.
And Mike Crack himself said this is a solution, a mix we've not tried before. So I was like, oh, interesting. Perhaps they've got some correlation issues on their new wind tunnel, Blake.
It's really hard because my gut feeling is they got super boned from the technical directive with the flexible front wings and maybe even rear wings and everything else. But the fact that they've understood that and they've come around with some solutions to that, I need to do a deep dive on their performance this weekend. But I think ultimately, I need another data point because just the same way as Mercedes were brilliant in Austin and dog shit here, Aston were dog shit in Austin and brilliant here.
Yeah, sorry, Aston fans, I'm not dunking on you, but I think Vegas is going to be a bit shit for them too, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Vegas is hard to say. We'll get to Vegas in a second, but We've already ripped into all the corner names. Honestly, that
This
fight.
podcast was brought to you by Top Golf Curve.
I hate it so much, man.
Now we're going for a break to our sponsors, Bud Light.
Oh my god! But
If you hang around, a race might break out.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, the Perez Alonso fight at the end was awesome. Alonso getting super creative with lines just to find downforce. I thought initially Perez was diving too hard into the final corner and losing out on the brakes, but actually he wasn't. Alonso was just doing some very creative lines, and he was like, all I need to do is get on throttle as soon as possible out of this final corner. I can back Perez up on the way in and just make sure I'm on the throttle sooner and earlier. Job done. It was a great drive, and I love to see it. And I love to see them, Alonso giving the interview, and Perez comes up, and he's like, they're hugging it out.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Freaking good for them. That was so cool to see. Perez just missing out on the podium there. I'm going to skip Sainz. I don't have anything to say about him. He was just kind of in no man's land behind Stroll.
He was in the race.
Yeah, he was. Mercedes.
One of them was in the race.
Well, they were both in the race for a while. We had Russell in the middle stint. He's like, "What, mate? Is we a team or what? In it?" No, it wasn't him. No.
Ah, dearie me.
But yeah, that was actually, though, looking at that, if you look at the data and you see that, it's like, holy shit, Lewis was slow on that medium tire, and Russell basically got up his ass and then burned up his tires and fell backwards and then DNF'd due to engine system temperature.
I don't actually know what the reason was. I think at this point I was trying to stop my 1-year-old son trying to jump off the sofa.
Okay.
So I believe it was an oil temp issue.
Okay. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, but like that was just not good. And they like they did we're discussing it, not we are checking it. You know, he's like, "Are you gonna let me pass?" And they're like, "We're discussing it." And honestly, they probably should have, but yeah. I mean, Hamilton was on the struggle bus on that medium tire, and that has Mercedes again in the race. They weren't even fast in turn 6-7 anymore. They were just fucking slow everywhere and slow on the straights.
Yeah.
That was not a tough one. Yeah. So
Anyway, enough of all that crap. Listen, we got something much more important to talk about.
well, before we get to that, Toto Wolff saying, you know, in the interview that he had it was Ted interviewing him, and Ted asking some it was respectful, but he's like, Toto's basically saying this car does not deserve to win a race this season. They haven't won. This car has not won a race, and it was just, oof. I felt bad, but at the same time, they've gone from Austin being like, we found some new performance, then they got disqualified because they found too much performance, possibly, who knows. And now they have a one-off in Brazil, and they're like, oh, it's terrible, it's over. I don't think they're going to rock up in Abu Dhabi and Vegas and be that dog shit. They can't. No? I don't know. I'm confused, man.
I don't think so. Vegas is such an unknown, though, isn't it?
It's going to be cold as fuck.
Who even knows?
It's going to be cold as fuck. It's a low drag, low speed corners and a couple of kinks in Top Golf.
This low temperature has been brought to you by Bellagio Hotel. Listen, if you think this is unbearable, just you wait until we do our Las Vegas review, mate.
Oh my god.
I've got something special for that, mate. I tell you.
Oh, we've got something special coming for that, actually. I'm not going to spoil it. It's going to be chef's kiss, that. There's going to be a lot of really cool... Did you see Alpha Tauri's Gundam collab?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
That goes back to what I was talking about.
Go
I
on.
don't care about Mercedes being crap. Listen, there's something much more important we need to talk about.
Talk to me, Goose.
Yuki Tsunoda points.
Sainz drops 2 in the World Drivers' Championship also, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Go on, Yuki. I think Daniel would have been in the points should he had been there. But let's talk about the end. Let's talk about the end. Verstappen overtakes Ascari for win percentage of a season. And that's what? How old is that record? 70 years or something? So this is not final because there's 2 races to go. And Max probably will win them unless something bad happens. But yeah, Verstappen has now, at the last race, he was tied with Alain Prost most wins in a season. Max Verstappen has overtaken Alain Prost. He now has 52 not wins in a season, overall wins. Max has overtaken Prost. He has 52 wins. If he wins again, he will be tied with Sebastian Vettel at 53. Next up in P2, Big Mike, 91 for Schumacher. And then Hamilton with 103. Wild.
Someone pointed this out to me on Twitter, and it's irked me ever since. If Red Bull were on the ball in Singapore and actually sorted that out and Max won it, he'd be on a streak of 16 wins. That's insane.
Oof. That's mad, dude. I love it here. So, I mean, looking at it, let's say that Max, let's say there's 24 races the next 2 seasons in this regulation set. Let's say that he wins, I don't know, half of them. That's 30 more. He'll have done Schumacher almost by the end of this power unit regulation set. And if he's even more dominant than that, let's say he wins 40. Yeah, that basically puts him just ahead of Michael and a handful behind Lewis.
Mental.
It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, race results. Perez 4th, Stroll 5th. You know who slipped under the radar for me?
Who?
Gasman and P7. They were kind of, well, and I'll get to Gasman because we've got another segment coming up.
Oh yeah. That's you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. But why don't we? I don't know. Is that all you want to talk about the race? Because we got. If you're a new listener, stick around because we've got a little report card we got to give you. Should we do it? You ready?
Yeah, let's go for the report card.
Smash that button, homie.
Random Fandom. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the show which we've forgotten to do for ages, but this time we remembered. We pick a team at random to hype up for the weekend and then give you a little report card about them for the race review. So Blake,
we can't pick Red Bull.
No. We take bias. We can't have that Red Bull bias here. The masses allowed us to put AlphaTauri back in.
Yeah.
Because first they weren't in it either.
Yeah.
So you got the short straw. You got Alpine. So good luck with that.
Yeah, before we get to that, Rince in the chat just pointed that we've got 372 people watching this stream podcast live, but there have been only 87 people to click the thumbs up button. I think you guys know what you need to do. I'm not gonna spoon feed you. Okay?
You know what?
Do the right thing.
Listen. Right? Listen, I'm staring at the camera now. Listen.
Yeah, me
listeners.
too. It's intimidating, isn't it?
You driving, listening to this in your car. Yeah, I'm talking about you, right? Listen.
Yeah. You
Prius. Why haven't you given us a 5-star review? We've not had a 5-star review. We've not had any reviews. I wouldn't even mind a 1-star review. We've had no reviews in ages. Listen, I don't care if you're driving, right? Pull over, cause a massive traffic jam. I don't care. You're going to stop. You're going to click 5 stars, and you're going to say something nice about me. I don't care about Blake. Don't worry. He's a big boy. He can take it. But me, my fragile ego needs a couple of 5-star reviews, please. Right? Thank you.
Validate me. Ooh.
Please, yeah. This is all I've got. I've got 3 kids, a mortgage, 2 dogs, debt. This podcast is all I've got going for me, right? Give me my goddamn 5-star review, please.
Okay. Job done. We got that. Likes are up to 134. We almost doubled them. Go on, lads and gals. You guys are awesome. So, my random fandom was Alpine. This is a tough one for me. They had a poor qualifying performance. Still sandbagging, I think, from winter testing this season. You know, they've got it figured out. They didn't make it to Q3. They were out-qualified by Haas, which, okay, Haas every now and then pull one out of the bag, and they fall like a rock during the race. They've got some... I wouldn't be surprised if some of those... I'm pretty sure they buy Ferrari's gearbox, which means they've got their suspension, which means like all the problems that Ferrari have, Haas don't have downforce to bolt on top of it. So, yikes. So, sprint shootout. Yeah, Ocon blamed Alonso. Says he didn't lose it. That's a fucking F, mate. Honestly, nonsense. Gasly out-qualified by both Haas's in the sprint shootout. Oof. Sprint Not quite in the shit Haas race pace spectrum, but not far off. And the race, Gasly, good race start, chills there, and he's able to manage his tires and be competitive with the rest. Ocon, I don't know what he was doing. He was probably ranting on the radio how he was going to overtake somebody and then never fucking does it. I don't know. I give him overall a D. Their only saving grace was Gasly performing very well in the race and just keeping his nose clean. I feel like it's a bit harsh, but it's fair. I want to see better from Alpine. I don't take any joy in them being down. I want to see them doing well. Ocon and Gasly are both excellent drivers, even though Ocon doesn't know how to hold the L every now and then when he needs to take it. But yeah, I know a lot of people that work there. It's a great bunch. I wish better for them, and hopefully they can make some inroads over the next season.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Blake thinks Alpine is shit. So there you go.
God damn it.
Let's move on to a real team.
Yeah,
now,
go on, mate. Who
I
we
had
got?
McLaren. I had McLaren for this race.
All right, governor, give it to us.
Of course, McLaren, absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Apart from qualifying, right? They kind of messed up qualifying by going out too late. Norris finished his lap to get 7th, but we saw poor Piastri got hit by the rain and just decided to go cut some grass. Very lucky not to wind up in the barriers, bless him. The sprint. Yes.
He should have invoiced the circuit, because I'm pretty sure, was it Connor that invoiced one of the circuits for cutting the grass at Indy or something? There's been maybe it wasn't Connor, but there's been an IndyCar driver that invoiced the circuit for cutting the grass.
I've seen was it Tony Kanaan or whatever, when at the Indy 500, where he took out that massive divot of grass and then he had to go work with the groundskeepers in the week after.
I think that might have been TK. Yeah, it might have been him.
Yeah, I like that sort of shithousery.
Love that.
I've completely lost track. Sorry, yes, McLaren in the sprint. Norris took pole in the sprint shootout, which was hilarious considering that he thought he didn't and it was a crap lap. Piastri only had used tyres, so sadly that meant he had to settle for P10. Obviously, right, the race, we know how that went. Piastri caught himself astray, messed up his rear wing, so his race was pretty much over there, and then he carried on the race, but he was carrying damage, so poor Piastri didn't really do much this weekend, bless him. Norris, though, like we spoke about, good start, pretty much chasing second and chasing Max in second, did his best to stick with Max, but obviously we all know the pace of Max and that Red Bull. Oof. So yeah, but he did well to keep them honest, so.
What are you giving them then? Overall rating for the team for the weekend?
Man. You know what? I'll give them a B, because I don't think, I think a B, and I've marked them down because of their qualifying shenanigans of sending them out too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. No, that's fair enough. Right, that is completely fair. They didn't pay you to gas them up. If you would have given them an A, I would have been a little bit skeptical. Like, Dan, where's that extra money coming into the podcast from?
5 podiums in 6 races.
Hey,
not bad for the McLaren crew at the minute.
Imagine rewind to the start of the season, you'd have been like,
they'd have been happy to take 1 podium.
Yeah, seriously. It's good to see it. Good to see it. I want to see more. I want to see Mercedes. I want to see Ferrari up there, and I want to see the rest of the guys graduating to Formula 1.5. What more can you ask for? What more could you ask for? Nothing.
I could ask for a segment where we judge and rag on people.
FraudWatch is where we talk some mad smack about somebody, something, or someone, or some idea that's been a big bag of poo this weekend. Who do you got for FraudWatch, Dan?
I was about to say what you've put down, so you've completely missed this one. All right, fine. F1 TV director.
Yep. Okay. Same. The F1 TV director this weekend was abysmal. This is the pinnacle of motorsport. They have so much fucking money coming out of their ears. Year-on-year profits, record-breaking, huge, amazing. The TV director, what are you doing? We missed so many overtakes. We missed pit exits where they were for track position. It's like, I don't know if it's your first time watching Formula 1. Welcome to Formula 1. But for this job, we need somebody that knows what they're doing. So get help.
Get your shit together.
Yep. Right. So that is the Fraud Watch, but we've got another good segment that we like to share called...
Oh, who's a good boy?
I am. I'm a good boy.
Who's a good boy? Good boy is just a little opportunity to put some respect on somebody or something or some idea that's impressed us or pleased us or made us happy of its presence this weekend. What do you got?
This is going to work out beautifully. Alonso.
Yeah, W. I think that goes without explanation or saying, honestly. I'm going for Perez. Perez has been on it. You know,
Perfect.
if you've got a guy that's, you know, within a couple hundreds, within a tenth or so of Max in qualifying now and then, he has a good race and he has that kind of wheel to wheel with the Dark Lord himself in a car that's performing well.
The Alonso Perez combo for the last few laps of that race. Yeah, that was peak.
Yeah.
We loved it.
I'm not sure to put them on Fraud Watch or Good Boy, but did you see the fans? The circuit, Sao Paulo circuit, was called into Fraud Watch, the official Fraud Watch. Yeah, there were fans jumping the fence. Like, they had fucking ladders jumping the fence.
He came prepared.
Yeah, and there was that one dude on the other side of the fence that already jumped over, and he like kicks through the fence and kicks the security guard in the ass, and it's like, you guys are fucking idiots. Like, honestly, if you climb onto a live racing circuit, you're a stupid piece of shit. End of story. It's not fun. It's not funny.
Yep. I don't know. Like, in what possesses someone to sort of sit there and think, hey, I'm going to go onto this live circuit while there's F1 cars driving around. What could possibly go wrong?
You're a cunt.
Everything could go wrong.
Yeah, you're an actual C unit. Yep. But you know what? So is life. What's coming up next for the podcast? We've got a week off. Do we take a week off next week, or do we put together an episode?
Let's be honest. Our history. We're going to say we're going to do an episode. We're not going to do an episode.
What if
we're just going to leave people hanging? So why don't we say we're not going to do an episode
and then surprise
maybe we
you?
will.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's the plan. But so we got Vegas coming up. We've got 2 more races. We'll probably do a little bit of end of season content. We'll do our best to get something next week. But we're gonna try to make something. I think we need a guest episode for sure. I think a guest episode would be good. Get somebody to mix it up because we just keep. I mean, I know you guys keep coming back every week, so heck, why not?
Jake's bored of me.
No, I'm not bored.
Swap me for someone else.
No, not we need somebody else to throw in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Spice up our relationship, a little menage a trois.
Oh, okay. You want to open things up?
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Rob says Vegas is gonna suck. I'm looking forward to Vegas to just let the chaos happen. It's gonna be a shit show. I think we're gonna have lots of tire issues. They're gonna have tires cold cracking because the ambient temperature will get down near freezing at night. So, new track surface. It's gonna be slippery as fuck. We're gonna have so many smashed up cars, lots of red flags, lots of delays. So, if you're getting up early, yeah, exactly.
These cold tires brought to you by Terry Black's Barbecue.
Oh my god.
Oh, wrong one.
But speaking of, let's talk about next season. I think next season we need to get out to a European race and do a broadcast. We need to maybe consider LeMans. We want to, and also we'd like to run into a bunch of you guys because we see you guys day in, day out in the comment section on YouTube, in the YouTube live chats, interacting with us on Twitter, and I think that would be super, super fun. Miss Hellcat says come to Belgium. I would literally, I don't care if we burn money going to Spa. Yeah.
I can't go to Spa, unfortunately, because there's too many hills and I'm too fat to walk up them.
You'll be fine. It's fine. We'll
push me around in the trolley, and I'll have one of those hats with the 2 beer cans on either side. You can just push me around, and I'll say something now and again.
Deal. So, on that note, I think you guys should make sure that you're supporting your local butchers. I know it's getting cold. Get some chickens, some sausages, maybe some beef or pork ribs soon if you're not into the meats and you're vegan or vegetarian. Big respect to you as well. So, yeah, support your local greengrocer and all that stuff. So, make sure to check in on your mates as well. The weather's getting a bit gloomy. I'm getting a little bit sad. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, check your balls.
Definitely do that again. Not a joke. Do check them.
Yeah, we did have someone message the podcast and say, I don't know if you saw this, but they
No, I didn't see
checked and they found something and they got it all sorted. So that makes it worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, seriously though. Aston Martin posted a really nice piece as well for
yes, they did. Yeah,
talking about checking for testicular cancer and lumps and bumps. Have a mess around. Make sure that you are healthy because that stuff will fuck you up massively. Yeah, you guys be safe.
Peace.
Seriously, peace out.
Fuck off.